So the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on our Capitol, attack on our democracy, has issued another round of subpoenas. That's important, but I think we have to ask ourselves, what is the House Select Committee going to do this time when the witnesses, the recipients of these subpoenas, ignore, disregard, defy these lawfully issued congressional subpoenas? Let's talk about that. Because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So it is once again raining congressional subpoenas. Here's the recent reporting from NBC News. Headline, January 6 committee subpoenas Giuliani, 3 other Trump allies, accuses them of pushing election lies. The committee, said Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, and Boris Epshteyn, publicly promoted unsupported claims about the 2020 election and participated in attempts to disrupt or delay the certification of the election results. So these folks promoted unsupported claims about the 2020 election. That's a nice way to put it, but we could say more directly that they were election liars, election deniers, democracy destroyers. They tried to deny Joe Biden his rightful win. They tried to keep Donald Trump installed in the presidency unlawfully and unconstitutionally. They are Donald Trump's criminal associates, and they are spokes in the wheel of a hub and spoke conspiracy, and Donald Trump is that hub. And we're going to be talking a lot in the coming days about what a hub and spoke conspiracy looks like. It's a less frequently used model of conspiracy by prosecutors, but that is the picture that is emerging, a hub and spoke conspiracy. But now we've got these 4 new subpoenas, and they're important, yes, they're worth doing, but, I'm afraid I'm raining on the subpoena parade when I say they are only as good as the evidence they produce. And what we know is that a lot of these congressional subpoenas have produced little to no evidence. For example, here we are on day 36 of the Mark Meadows indictment watch. Day 36, and the House Select Committee has not a single word of testimony from Mark Meadows, nor has he been criminally indicted for his obvious crime of contempt of Congress. So what will Congress do when the Giulianis and the Powells and the Jenna Ellises of the world, in one way or another, thumb their nose at these congressional subpoenas? 2 words, and those words aren't give up or give in, inherent contempt. Congress should exercise its own lawful power of inherent contempt. No, it hasn't been done since the 1930s, but when it was last done, it was deemed to be lawful. It was affirmed by the Supreme Court, and there is no reason not to take the gloves off and do it right now in an attempt, maybe a last-ditch attempt, to save our democracy. If it's not worth deploying your lawful power of inherent contempt to compel testimony right now, when will it ever be worth it? You send the Sergeant at Arms of the House of Representatives, as supplemented by Capitol police officers, the Capitol Police being the only law enforcement agency under the control of Congress, and you take into custody the witnesses who defy, who ignore, who refuse to comply with lawfully issued congressional subpoenas, and you jail them. You detain them in one of the 4 cells at Capitol Police headquarters, and then they can do one of 2 things. They can purge the contempt by testifying, or they can file suit. They can try to force this into the courts and let it be forced into the courts. So the court can rule in real time and resolve the issue and say, no, Mr. Giuliani, Miss Powell, you have been served with a lawful congressional subpoena. You are required to testify unless you have some legitimate, viable, recognized privilege. That's what Congress should do. There is no reason not to. There is no excuse. Democracy is important enough. It's worth fighting for. Take off the gloves. Flex your lawful congressional muscles. For goodness sake, you're a co-equal branch of government. You need to act like it. Because right now you're beholden to the executive branch, waiting for a decision about, for example, whether Mark Meadows will be prosecuted. Did I mention we're on day 36 with no action? And if Mark Meadows is prosecuted, if he goes the way of Steve Bannon, does that produce testimony to the House Select Committee? No. It just punishes Mark Meadows for the crime he committed, a crime that we would be punished for if we committed it, contempt of Congress. Yes, I'm a little frustrated. I'm a little agitated, and yet I do believe the investigative circle continues to tighten around the hub of the hub and spoke conspiracy, that being Donald Trump. We did get some good news today, where the Supreme Court refused to stop the documents from going from the National Archives over to the House Select Committee. They denied Donald Trump's request to hide from the House Select Committee, and by extension from we the people, what we all know is going to turn out to be deeply damaging and incriminating information about what Donald Trump was doing on January 6th. So there is some good news. There is some hope. There is some justice on the horizon, but we have to fight for it. We have to fight like hell, or guess what? We won't have a democracy anymore. And because justice matters. Friends, thank you for bearing with me through my rant. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.